on top of each other because there's not as much room as we usually have, but it's fine because we love each other. It's fine. Yeah.
It's a cozy nook.
It's a cozy nook. That's what I was going for. Cozy, whimsy. I love it. It's
just
great.
like the book.
Just like the book.
Perfect segue. Perfect segue.
Well, we're so excited to meet you. Thank you for coming to Clear to the podcast. This is our Under the Covers section that we do with authors and other people that are in this bookish community that we love to chat with. And we're stoked that you came on.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm nerding out. I'm fangirling in every way possible. Also, totally random. I grew up in Kentucky and then went to school in Tennessee. And so your accents sound like home. I had to neutralize mine. They made me neutralize mine when I got hired at a Shakespeare theater. So whenever I hear like Southern accents, I'm like, oh my God, the honey.
Oh my God, it's going to come out. Yeah.
It's coming back.
We have a couple of drinks.
Yeah, like 2 drinks or we record a podcast past 11. It gets real thick either way.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
Fantastic. So yeah, like Haley said, thank you so much for being here. We loved the book, obviously. It was so cozy, so wonderful. I was excited that Haley liked a fantasy book because that was something that we weren't sure was going to happen at any point. So yeah, congratulations on winning her over with that.
We love to hear it.
I have read my fair share of fantasy. It's just, it takes a lot to get me into it because if I get a book that's like 600 pages and the first 400 pages are just telling me where we are and what's happened, like not even like nothing happens and it's just world building, then I'm like, I can't, I don't have time.
I completely understand that. It's one of the reasons why I've not watched Game of Thrones yet because I'm like, this is such a mammoth time commitment. I don't know.
And now there's all the extra ones. Like there's other ones that you have to watch if you're going to watch that one. And it's just, it's too much. I agree.
Yeah.
I get it.
I tapped out. I watched the first series and then I'm done with everything else. Yeah. For sure.
So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write this book, because that's one of my favorite things. As a would-be author myself, I love to hear about people's writing processes and their inspiration. So can you just kind of walk us through how we got to where we are today with the book?
Yes, I would love to. So it was the summer of 2023, and I was in between acting contracts, and I did as every actor does, and I got a contract at a farm and was working at a local family farm because I grew up farming, I grew up gardening. And so I was weeding the broccolini beds, which is very dry work, literally, just out there hours by myself. And I thought this would be so much better if I had a hedgehog companion and then a muscle mommy who was obsessed with me. And so that's kind of where Clara Thorne was born, was in the broccolini fields.
Yeah.
I feel like a hedgehog companion and a muscle mommy obsessed with you could make just about any job better, really.
Yeah.
So
for sure. That's fantastic. I love it. Well, you talked about acting. Have you always been an actor? Like, I know that you have Shakespeare degrees, like out the wazoo, right? You've talked about it on your social media, but was it always acting or was it the work in general, like Shakespeare's work that got you into it? Or what do you think?
For my acting and sort of kind of everything from in my creative life, I fell ass first into it sort of accidentally. So I was in my junior year of college and I accidentally got put into an acting class by accident. I was not an acting major at all. I had no intention. I had a really bad stage fright, actually. I was a psychology major and I was doing a monologue workshop there, and the theater professor said, if you aren't part of the production, I'm going to fail you. And this was manipulation on his part, but thank God. And I was like, okay, my type A Virgo was like, fine, I don't care if this is manipulation. I'm going to get the A. Nothing will risk my 4.0. And so I did it, and I was sort of bit by the bug, but I still went to graduate school for clinical mental health. And then I dropped out of that and went to Mary Baldwin for Shakespeare and performance. And very vividly, there was one day where I was still performing in where I was living at the time at undergrad. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to be really sad when I can't perform anymore. And in the next moment, I thought, I am an adult human with free will. I'm just going to drop out and go to a different school. And so I had always sort of liked Shakespeare. I had never performed Shakespeare professionally. I showed up to the program very young and never having been a professional actor. And they saw something there too. And I got lucky enough to start working really early. I was not quite graduated from my graduate program, and I started working at the American Shakespeare Center and have been there for the last 5 years. And I'm Rosalind currently in As You Like It.
That's great. That's fantastic. I have a minor in theater, and I fell into it because I was lonely and I was in a new town, and I had never done theater before ever in my life. And I was 20. I remember like the auditions were at a mall, and we had to audition like on a stage in front of like passersby. And I had never auditioned for anything before, and I had no idea like what a they hand you a script and you just go for it. But I was an outdoor recreation major. I wanted to be a cruise director, having never been on a cruise beforehand. And
wait, how am I just learning this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was an outdoor recreation major. Thought I would be a fantastic cruise director. I still stand by that.
I still think
I would be a great cruise director. I don't love cruises though, so there was a hiccup there. But I did the play. I got cast in the play. It was Noises Off, and I had the best time. And I changed my major completely and was like, I'm a theater major now. I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to be on Broadway. And yeah, that didn't happen either. But I had a good time while I was doing it.
Yeah, that's the bug. I mean, I'm so with you. When my first audition and my first rehearsal process, I remember when they said the term blocking, we're going to block the scene. I thought we were going to put actual blocks out there and then move them around, and I was going to have to memorize where the blocks were going.
Yeah. Blocking is where they make they show you. Okay.
I've been in 2 plays. Right?
How did I not know that?
Yeah, at the All Girls Baptist College.
Okay, well that what were you acting out there?
I was Pocahontas' father in Pocahontas, and then I was in Nonsense.
Okay. Both of those are
Track,
problematic,
actually.
but sure. I love it. Oh yeah. Well, I love theater, and I think it's natural. Like if you are in theater, then I think writing, or at least a love of writing, they go hand in hand, because you can't love a play without loving words. And so have you always been a writer, or is that something that kind of like naturally led you in that direction?
I mean, there were lots of stepping stones towards it. Again, it was sort of something that I kind of fell ass first into. Somebody else saw something in me. When I never intended to be a long form writer. The only publication I ever had was my master's thesis. That was the only long form writing I'd ever done. I'd always been a huge reader, and my life was literally dedicated to storytelling. And I was also a teacher at the undergraduate and graduate level of how to teach Shakespeare, or how to write, or how to, so components of stories were part of my life. But insofar as writing and going into traditional publishing, when I started telling stories on TikTok, which was just sort of like a journal diary entry for me, I started getting literary agents in my DMs being like, I really like your storytelling style. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I was like, no. So I just left them on red. I had no idea. And then my literary agent slid into my DMs almost 3 years to the date that we're recording this episode. And there was something about the way that she talked about stories and how and her belief of stories that made me think, okay, well, this is somebody who's dedicated to stories. I'm dedicated to stories. Let's just see what happens. Because my life up until that point had been a lot of, well, let's just see. And it hadn't steered me wrong yet necessarily. And so I signed with her, and we signed originally to do like a rom-com memoir of the stories I was telling of the neighbor saga over on TikTok from 3 years ago. But while I was writing that project, I was cheating on that project with The Impossible Garden of Clara Thorne. And so it was the first story that I think it was just living in my bones in a lot of ways. And so much of my life was already about stories and telling this and discovering this and, working with ensemble casts at a repertory theater. Every night is different. And so when I was writing these chapters, it felt so much like that process of I want to discover with these characters. I don't want to come with a preconceived notion. I want to come with my skill set and then to see what I can do to enliven this with this, but they will teach me. And it's so cool how the acting, repertory acting in particular with an ensemble company, and then writing really has interesting conversations with one another.
That's so great. I love that so much. So you let the characters tell you what's happening. You don't know what's happening in the very beginning. Like, you don't go in and you're like, I know that I'm going to have X and I'm going to have Z and we're just going to figure it out.
Yeah, Clara told me what she wanted. I knew going into the story that I wanted to tell a story about the extremely annoying and difficult journey of letting yourself be loved. And I wanted to do that in a cozy fantasy genre because that's what I like, that's what I enjoy. And I crave main characters that are real and difficult in sweet settings. I don't want them to be fully realized yet. And so Clara's arc was clear to me from the beginning. Hesper and her's love story was clear to me from the beginning. Chapter by chapter, the friendship of Rosie. I didn't know Rosie was there until she was suddenly there at when we first meet her on the page. I didn't know we were going to go to lore until we were at lore, because I was just asking continuously what makes sense for Clara instead of what is going to be the most compelling plot point. Just what are her next steps as she's going on this journey. And that's how the creative process is in the acting part for me, and also with Clara and my other characters I work with. And I really love that they get to teach me things.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's so much more like, I don't know, organic to be like, what do you want to do next? Or like, what are we doing next? Like, not knowing and then just figuring it out sounds like so much more fun than something like
planning
start.
it out.
Yeah.
I could see benefits to both, but yeah, that's very interesting. I love that. Has Clara told you if there's going to be more to her story? The first thing I asked Haley was like, do we know if there's more? I finished the book and immediately was like, I'm not done. I'm not done. So can you tell me?
Like, I want to see Hesper on a dragon.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like,
we need to meet Hesper's dragon.
Well, I mean, there's a world in which their story continues. There's a PDF on my computer in which their story continues, whether or not, who knows how long that might take to come to fruition.
That's fair.
For contracts and things. But it was intended to be a standalone originally. That's what I wanted for it, because I like standalone fantasies. Once I got to the end of the book, I wanted to end it in such a way that for those who like standalones, they knew, okay, but the story, I know that Clara and Hesper, I can see what adventures they go on. I don't need to read about it. For those who liked Clara and Hesper, there was enough to be like, okay, so we could still have a story.
yeah.
We could still have a story. And there's enough for me as an author to be like, and we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a very smart way to end that, because it left it open either way. You could use your imagination and make their future whatever you wanted it to be. Or also, in my case, you could just beg to see Hesper actually ride a dragon. Also, just throwing this out there in case inspiration strikes, we discussed this in the episode. Edge and Wordy, we would love a novella. There was a lot of adventures we feel like didn't happen on the page, and I'm interested, honestly. I would buy that in a moment. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have lots of little different about, because I want to write a Rosie and Patty wedding. I need to write that.
Yes.
I want to write Angus. There's so many side shoot little characters, or like a day at the tavern, in Dwindle.
All of the characters were so quirky and wonderful, and they were all like, even if they were
Cluelessly
only
in love. Like, that was some
so
of my
cute.
favorite moments of them just being absolute idiots in love. So, yeah, absolutely.
I loved that
Some of
all
my
of
favorite
them were
parts.
like, they were all full characters, even if they were only on like 2 pages. Like, I was like, this person, I know this person. Like,
Yeah,
this
I
is,
can
I
see
want
this
to,
person.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was so fantastic. I loved it so much.
Good. That is the Shakespeare in me, because I have played the characters that are like, and I get 2 lines to tell you exactly who I am, and it needs to have just enough personality that you're like, I know exactly who that person is. One more time. But I'm glad it was I wanted Dwindle and Moss to be like kind of how Gilmore Girls, the townies are sometimes the most compelling parts of the story.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
these people, what are they doing? And so every side character meant the world to me, because they're so, even, the Remy the gnome who owns the restaurant in Moss, and all these little people, I wanted them to feel like their own little worlds, because in my brain They were like, get me out
The
and
little
onto
guy
the page.
that pops up out of the flower pot. Oh, what was his name? I can't think of it.
Oh,
Yeah, in Dwindle.
yeah.
He was hilarious. When he popped up out the first time, I was like, he's my best friend right now on this page. So yeah.
I wanted to illustrated it. Like, I feel like everything was so like easy to imagine too, like in my head. Like I could see it all, which was beautiful and very whimsical and like magical. The whole thing. I loved it so much. But it also like, it wasn't just like a cozy book. It made us talk about a lot of like heavier things that were like subtle in the book, but if you think deeper about them, like her being turned away from her parents' house because they were disappointed. Like, we went on a whole like tangent about like how parents being disappointed, and the idea of like getting rid of your child at any cost. Like, I have a daughter, and there's nothing, like, I was like, murder, I don't care. Like, it's like there's no part of me that would send her away with a loaf of bread and not hug her. And I feel like
the hug scene.
I was just you know, and like I don't know, it kind of, that opened up, and it made us think too of like queer youth and like coming out and their parents not accepting them and being turned away and like not having, and just being able to find that found family that she found in Moss, which thank God she did, because it changed her entire life and released her magic and all of the above. But that's what everybody wants, you know. So that was beautiful too.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that you, because as much as this was a queer normative world, which is what I wanted, it just was. Everybody was. And I didn't want that necessarily to be part of the story, but because of my own experience of having something similar to Clara, of something about you doesn't align with whatever your familial way and expectation just shuts you off. And a lot of that had to do, because I grew up in such a fundamentalist religion and then being queer, I still wanted to have that essence represented of what does that mean? And it wasn't, for Claire, it wasn't because of queerness, but I still wanted, you know, that journey of, okay, I am in a safe place now. I am in arguably the most whimsical place. My external surroundings are as good as it can get. I don't feel that way inside. And so I wanted to ensure that journey was still there and represented, because it is hard and it is difficult, especially when you know, I had the same when in my early 20s, my life was really beautiful on the outside, and I was still metaphorically trying to start fires in my living room because I felt like I was still in survival mode. And so, you know, what does that story, especially for, you know, queer youth, and, you know, it brings up a lot of stuff, but yeah. So some heartbreak in the cozy.
Yeah. Right. But it was so worth it. And like, it told us what we needed to know about. I get frustrated when somebody runs. We talk about this all the time. Like in a book, like if they're self-sabotaging, I'm like, get it together, even though I'm doing it in my daily life. Like, we all do it. But if I'm reading and I'm looking in from the outside, I'm just like, oh my God, like, it's right there. Why do you keep, I don't know, like, you know, it frustrates me to no end.
Oh, Clara is so frustrating.
I was like, oh my God, like.
Yeah. Clara is very frustrating. I take some of the criticisms have been Clara is frustrating. I totally understand. And I want it, but I also, healing is so annoying. It is the most annoying thing. It's so fun to talk about. That may be the most
accurate sentence I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It is cringe. It is annoying. It is embarrassing. It's so fun to talk about at a retreat and like you've done it or you're about to do it. It's like, yeah. And in the middle of it, it's like I remember in the middle of my, you know, whatever, going to the grocery store and somebody being nice to me and me being like, what the fuck was that about? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? It is so annoying. And it's worse because it's first person POV. And so a lot of times, like, if a friend was helping me or I'm helping a friend, I'm not privy to their internal monologue, which is worse than what they're giving to me or what I'm giving to them. We have to deal with Clara's circular thinking of like, I just, nah, never mind.
Yeah, or like I'm just gonna ignore that. I'm gonna ignore that.
Yeah, I'm feeling it, but we're just not gonna talk
ignore
about
that.
it.
Or like I'm gonna talk about it, but then I'm not gonna talk about it. Like,
Yep.
but it's so real. That was the whole thing. I'm like, we might be in this like fantasy world, but everything about her, like the way she was living her life, I was just like, oh my God, like that.
Been there.
Oh my God, yeah. Jesus. Speaking of Jesus, you talked about being from a fundamentalist, like homeschooling background. Does any of that, I'm sure it does any of that bleed into like daily life and like the way that you think? I was raised in a very, very Christian church, and it was like women couldn't speak, and we were just no music, no anything. And I know that when I turned 18, I like tucked tail and ran as fast as I could and never went back. And I didn't even come out until I was in my 20s. So like that wasn't even part of it. It was just that church in general was just so mind blowing to me. And I'm 36 now. So obviously I've had plenty of time to be away from that, but I still have like religious guilt and like things that I know and don't believe at all pop up in my head all the time. And I'm like, that should not help. Like I shouldn't be navigating from that point. I have to tell myself all of the time, like, that's not a valid, like, that's not, you don't have to listen to that. Just like throw that one away, But does that ever bleed into like daily life and your writing and acting and all of it?
Absolutely, in every way possible. I grew up Church of Christ, which was no instrumental music. Okay. When you said no instrumental music, I was like, no, this sounds familiar.
Yeah. Me too.
Which can be such a spectrum because they're anonymous. There's no governing body. So you can have, different experiences. Mine was about as close to a cult experience as possible and being homeschooled in it. And so it was very, very all consuming. I went to a Church of Christ school. I married a Church of Christ dude. And then when I had my kid, and it was during COVID, I sort of woke up out of the cult stupor because when I had my son, I was like, literally, if God came down right now and was like, give me your kid, I would be like, and I'll kill you all over again. We did it once, I'll do it again. And that's when I knew, And so I sort of had to peel away a lot of stuff. And I also didn't come out, of course, until in my early mid 20s, because I didn't even have the space in my brain to consider if I was queer or not at all, because it was such an all-consuming thing. And interestingly, other than the guilt specifically around motherhood that I felt really a lot, especially like what is selfishness versus what is okay to fill my own cup, because what is considered good motherhood is not like maintainable outside of that structure. So like whenever I was writing or whenever I was pursuing a career, I had this pressure from my family and my ex at the time that because I was doing that, I was ensuring that my son was not getting love. And so that definitely made me really face, I think, the deconstructing monster head on, because I was like, I'm still choosing this. So, and I cannot live with this guilt every single day of my life. So I really need to restructure. And one thing that I'm actually really grateful for is because I was so sheltered and the world was such an over there place while I was doing something entirely different. I am constantly in awe that I get to exercise my free will. I can just do stuff. I can just take an acting contract. I can write a book. I can paint my fence, whatever I want. My kids and I can draw on the wall, there's such a wonderment of the human condition. And it's made me very empathetic to different walks of life, whether I agree with it anymore or I do not, because I'm like, oh, wow, you're just like a human out here. Being a human. Whoa. So yeah, it influences every single thing. But I like you, some weird things will come up of like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have felt that. And I'm like,
no, wait, we're not back. And it's because I think a lot for me is like, I have a daughter. And so there's like so much pressure on girls about their body and about what they're wearing and about how much they speak and about like, you know, and so I think that a lot of it for me is like watching her grow up and knowing that I was in the church at her age and like knowing the things that I knew in the church that was just normal, that I would never talk to her or discuss with her like the way that a man looks at a girl, like, you know, like at 7, but I already knew those things. Like, it blows my mind all the time, and I don't know, like I continuously have to be like, you're good, you're good, you don't have to, like, you know, you can let that go, but it does still pop up, and I think that's so bonkers because it's been so long. But I guess that just goes to show, like, if you're in something for a long enough time and you're brainwashed the right way, it'll stick.
It really does what it's supposed to do, and I think that's why I have fought so hard to be whimsy in the face of hopelessness, because that era of my life and that kind of thinking just was laid so deep into my bones that every time it pops up or every time I see somebody I'm talking to even have similar thought processes of just black and white, this is how it is, I'm like, what about we plant some flowers? Anything else than that?
Yeah.
What?
Well, reading the book, I will tell you, reading the book inspired me to have my little garden, because for Mother's Day, that's what I asked for. I told my wife, I was like, we're going to go get some raised beds and we're going to plant some stuff, and things are growing and I'm going to eat them.
Oh my gosh. We finished recording your episode and she immediately was like, I got to go show you my garden. And she walked me outside and showed me all the little sprouts, and it was adorable. It was
they're huge. They're amazing. Okay. They're thriving. And it's because...
Her giant sprouts.
Listen, my wife gets up earlier than I do, and so she's the one going out there and watering it. But I go out there every day and I talk to them and tell them how beautiful they are and how proud of them I are.
Do you sing to them?
Sometimes, yeah. Sing to them little ditties. You don't ever know what their liking is. I don't know. I'm having a real good time though, and I cannot wait until I can eat some of it. Like, I'm just like, I told her, I was like, anything that I plant, I will eat it. Even if I don't like it, I'm going to eat it.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm so 100%.
Excited. I hate radishes. I have gone viral on the internet since last week for my love of my radishes. Okay, it's a mother's love.
They were good-looking radishes. They were good-looking.
They
radishes.
were, but I don't know if I like a
stuff
radish.
them in my face.
I like a radish.
I love my radishes. It's like my children.
Yeah.
Every single one of my plants.
If I grow them, I will eat them.
Yeah.
That is how it is.
I got into growing tomatoes during COVID, and I had so many. I was finding new ways to eat a tomato. So much salsa, so many just like BLTs, just like all the tomatoes. But I loved every one of them, just like you were saying. Yeah, they were my tomatoes.
and I feel so. I mean, my radish tops. I'm like, baby, I'm gonna make pesto out of you. We're not leaving you behind. You're my babies.
You are worth
no radish,
everything.
No radish top left behind. Yeah.
No. Absolutely not. Mm-mm.
I love it. Well, I was telling her before we started this video about she knows nothing of the Neighbor Saga, like nothing of it. I've been following you for a while, but she started following you after the fact, and I like now she's like, who's the
I gotta
neighbor?
go catch up. I'm gonna.
And
spend
I'm like,
the rest
you've
of the
got
night
so much catching up to do. It's been a journey.
It was a long journey. It was. And it just started because I took a journal of that time of my life, and about 1 to 2 years had passed, and no one knew about it because at the time I was undiagnosed autism, and I didn't understand why I could not, when I was talking to somebody, tell them anything that was going on in my life. And so I was going through this like huge, long journey, and I came out on the other side of that, and I was like, you know, this weird TikTok thing, I wonder how far storytelling can go in the short form. And so I just did a 75-part saga of a real thing that happened in my life as if it were present day. I told it as if it were present day. But I would have never done that had I not had his consent to do that. And it changed my life. And it was just me telling the story of how we fell in love and the mess ups and my mess ups because I called it off. And, you know, anybody who watched the Neighbor Saga and then read, because I've talked to people who have been there since the beginning and then read The Impossible Garden, they were like, I see this running away thing. I see this theme.
Okay, I'm really excited to do my homework now.
No, it's gonna blow your mind. It's amazing. It's amazing. Another thing, I've listened to some of your episodes of your podcast. It's Anyhow, Anyway, or Anyway, Anyhow. Yes.
Anyhow, anyway. You're right first. Yep.
Yeah, okay. And one of them was you talking about how you get up in the morning and like writing is kind of like a meditation for you. Like if you can set the precedents, like I'm going to do this to start my day, it's easier to like bang out some of the words that you need to get on the page, and
That's a
then
good idea.
you can start the rest of your day. And like just reframing the idea of doing something that for you were writing because you had a book deal, but like for me, writing is a hobby for me. And so with motherhood and household duties, I don't work, I stay at home, but that is work. And it's hard for me to cut out time to sit down and write because I always let myself be pulled away or like feel guilty, like I should be doing the laundry, I should be doing the dishes, I should be like hanging out with Lou because it's summer and I don't need to like take time away from her. But reframing that in my mind as meditation, I feel like would be so helpful because that is self-care and that would help set up my day. And I really loved that.
Oh yeah, I mean connecting with my creative self, especially if you are a creative person, and I feel like everybody is in some capacity. I think some people it is their soul in a way that it is not with others, and connecting with that is just as important to me as sustenance. That's just how it is if I'm not connecting with that, I am not fed in a way that I have to be in order to go about my day in a more full-fledged way. It does help when there's like a deadline outside of myself. But with Impossible Garden, what I got the book deal after was already written. So I had the literary agent and we had interest, but I was just like, I'm just going to bang this out. I'm going to get it done in 2 months because if I waffle on it, because I love to waffle, I love to linger, I love to dilly dally. I'll write for 10 years.
I will rewrite the same chapter till it's dead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like the best version of it, I killed because I was in a bad mood.
It was probably the first one.
Exactly. Exactly. And so if I don't have a publisher deadline, I will give myself a deadline. I'll get a beta reader or I will have a few friends and I'm like, it will be in your inbox by this day or else it will never get done. Because I'll just linger, because nothing we do is ever good enough. If you're anything like me, like I'll finish a chapter and I'm like, and why would I think that that's good? Who am I to be like, and that was great? What? That feels like taking a nude and being like, look at it.
That's beautiful. Look at
Isn't
that.
that nice what I did? It's like so embarrassing, but yeah. Yeah, love to bang
Mine
it out
is
first
always
thing.
like wondering if people who are reading it are laughing as much as I wanted them to laugh while I was reading it. Like, is this really funny or was it just funny in my head? And that's where I struggle on like the self-confidence on sending it out there. But I like the idea of self-imposed deadlines. I do that. I need to get better about that
I'm
myself.
like, I've got to get this done by Friday. If I don't get it done by Friday, and then am I going to do it the whole week? No, but I will do it on Friday.
I'll do it on
because
Thursday
it has
night.
to be done on Friday. And I gave myself, for real. I think that if I don't, then nothing is done.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about this Wild West meets the mummy idea that you've talked about, because that sounds absolutely fucking magical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
100%,
everyone's by awakening was the mummy. Like everyone's.
It's a scientific fact.
It's
been
fact.
proven. Yeah.
So I feel like this is going to be absolutely off the wall. I can't wait.
Yes, I spent the first few months of this year drafting that novel. It is with my editors now, so we shall see where it goes. But I sort of treated the writing process of that like the Wild West. I sort of threw spaghetti at the wall. I did, like Clara Thorne, I did exactly what I wanted to do. And what happens when we mash up romantasy and Wild West and the Mummy? You know what I mean? I mean, that's so much, because Impossible Garden of Clara Thorne, it's like, yeah, this is cozy fantasy with spice, with like this really internal thing. I like to just crunch whatever I want together. But I had these characters in my brain, much like Clara and much like Hesper, and I pitched it. It is with the editors, and so. Yeah, I wanted, instead of horses, what if they had dragons? You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
Come
Wow.
on.
Yeah. What if they had dragons in the Wild West?
Let's do that.
Oh my God. I can't wait. It sounds fantastic. I can't wait till
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, definitely in. So, tell us a little bit about Trova trips. That sounds like fun. Didn't you go on a trip last year already, and you're doing it again?
I did, yes. I went to Croatia last year with a group of people, which was so fun. I'd never been to Europe. And I'm going again this year in October. I'm doing cozy adventures or cozy autumn in Ireland with summer England. I know. I know. I know. That's the real title. That's the real title of the trip. And we are doing a fiber crawl through Dublin where we're going to go to a bunch of different shops and all of that stuff. The trip is still open. There are spots to book, but it's like a cozy time. It's neurodivergent friendly, meaning we do adventures in the day and then there's sort of like chill times at night where we can chat or we can have our own times to ourselves. And then I'm there and we hang out and we talk about books, we talk about life. We hang out and I entertain you for a week with my general chaos.
Are you already tired? That sounds, you entertain us for a week.
I mean, it's so fun. And I remember at Trova last year, I took a very dear friend of mine, and midway through the trip, she was like, isn't it crazy that all these people are here for you? And I was like, I did not even think about that. I did not think about that once. I completely neglected to think about that. I was just like, we're in this. It felt like summer camp. And then I was like, right.
Yeah.
You're in Croatia because we're it's summer camp. But it's so fun. I met really dear friends doing that. I never in a million years would have thought by posting chaos smut on Instagram that it would have taken me across the pond, so to speak. Never in a million years. And that just goes to show you
then needs to be a band name
or a sticker at the least.
Oh, a sticker for sure.
Do what brings you joy, and you never know what it will bring you. Because every step of my life has just been what is going to bring me the most joy and most happiness. And by the grace of whatever exists above and or below, I have gone to Croatia and will go to Ireland because of it.
I feel like that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, for sure. We were just like, this sounds like fun. Let's do
we'll
it.
Just yap on the internet.
Yeah, until we're not fun anymore, and then we'll not do it anymore. That's
now look.
No pressure.
Now look. You have so many listeners. I heard about the Cliterature podcast from another one of my favorite gay podcasts, Happy Wife, Happy Life. And now
yay.
I know the everything. It's the best.
That's still a little weird for me to hear too.
Really?
Yeah, that like other people are talking about us.
Yeah.
In theory, I know that we're on the internet for strangers to find, but that also just hasn't sunk into my brain yet this far into the process. So
yeah, that is one thing for me.
Weird.
Like, social media is hard for me to keep up with. Like, I'm not like a serial poster, and so I feel like we could be talking to a lot more people. Like, a lot more people would know about the podcast had I like invested in our social media. And eventually, one day, maybe I will. But joy is more important.
What brings you joy? You have listeners without having to. That's the thing about. I'm the worst influencer of all time. You know how many brand deals I just delete immediately? I do not care. I do not care. Huge brands. Why?
I don't know about that.
I don't want to do it. So, Yeah. You got listeners.
Like, that doesn't sound fun, so just delete.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I won't be doing that.
I'll just go garden instead. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
God, I love that so much. She's never heard one of your smut tangents. I think that's another thing she needs to catch up on. Like,
I've got a lot of homework apparently.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, that's what she's famous for. She's famous for talking about minotaurs on milking farms. Like, it's the books, but it's also the smut. You just don't understand.
Yeah, genuinely, just absolutely blowing up my life online by telling my horrible mistakes with the person who I fell in love with, and then talking about the disgusting perverted literature I read changed my life. It changed my life. It got me literary again.
Have you read the dinosaur ones? My boss talked about the dinosaur ones, and
like, people are in love with dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like a dinosaur romance smutty book or something. There was a series of
because I have been into sentient object smut.
I was just telling her about that.
I was like, isn't there an airplane
I think
one
there's one
out
about
there?
a doorknob.
There's one about a doorknob. There's one about an airplane. There's one, my favorite is called Halloween, and it's about sentient pumpkins. It is the most unhinged, but the euphemisms alone of the things that, the candy spilling everywhere and stuff, that the euphemisms alone are worth the read. And they're novellas, they're short, all right? You can get it
There's
done.
multiple of these? Okay.
Oh, there's
Okay.
so many. It's by the same
Listen,
author.
This is why I love writing as a whole. There is literally something for everyone.
Yep.
I had a friend tell me the other day that she read the most fantastic fan fiction ever. And I was like, oh, please say more. And she was like, have you ever seen a Goofy movie? And I was like, what?
Yeah,
exactly.
no, what?
She said it was fantastic. It was about the second Goofy movie. Which I'd never watched. I've now watched it. I haven't read the fan fiction yet, but yeah, I was like, I didn't know smutty Goofy movie fan
Roxanne
fiction
was so hot. I'm not
Right.
even
I was
gonna
gonna
lie.
say, is it featuring the hot poet snapping? Because
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know,
Dude.
But yeah, yeah. I was just like, this is why I love writing, because it doesn't matter what you're into, it's out there.
Every time I
somewhere.
have these conversations, I feel like I'm so vanilla. And I'm not. Like, I read smut, but like, you talk about the Goofy movie, and now I'm like, where? And I've never read anything about minotaurs or planes. Like, I have so much to fill in my summer.
You have homework now too.
Yeah. I'm just gonna read the craziest
Our
smut I can
summer
find.
reading list is gonna be wild.
You should make a
can
summer
wait.
reading list. That's so easy. Like, marketing's just right there.
there it is. There it is. I
welcome.
just the most unhinged reading
Yeah.
list, but it's all like the summer tools. Like it's just inanimate garden tools that I found perverted stuff for.
I was gonna hoe.
That's what you took it right out of my mouth.
Yep. Hey. Writes itself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it does.
Oh man, well this has been so much fun.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. I was fangirling hardcore before we got on here, so if I was
Oh my
super
gosh.
weird, then you get what you get.
Hey, not at all. This is so great. And you two have the most, it's like Southern queer NPR in the best way possible. You have the most
I love that.
listenable
Yes.
That's
voices.
amazing.
It's so good. And it makes me so happy because whenever you talk about smut in a Southern accent, it's like,
It just
Tell
makes
me
it
that.
that much better. Yeah, it's just
Something
classy.
about
at
this
that
is
point.
right.
Oh my
This-
god, no. Before we sign off, we have to talk about that line that you did not react to. And I need to know
I
if
have
you
completely disappointed her.
Listen. When Hesper says, I like the smell, I almost dropped my Kindle. I was like, what? What? And I think I squealed. And then I immediately texted her and she was like, I'm not there yet. And I was like, what? And then when she got there, she was just like,
I mean, it was a great line. Don't get me wrong. No shade to the line. It just didn't
it hit
make
me.
my panties fly off like it did.
Well, it didn't make my panties fly off, but like those are things that you don't say out loud, okay?
Facts.
Not usually.
Yeah.
And she just said it so nonchalantly. Everything she said, I swear. Well, everything sounded like she was like coming onto her at all times anyway, which made it so much harder to ignore all of the cute little lip scar and all that stuff. But
The lip scar, though.
God,
The lip scar.
yeah.
why are lip scars so hot?
Ugh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
We've had this conversation multiple times and we can't get to the root of it, but we just live here.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
good. The evil witch from
But I
Once Upon a
think-
Time.
Oh my God, yes, Regina Mills is like top tier lip scar.
100%.
Oh my God.
100%, yes.
But have you ever seen her, the actual actress, sing? Because she does.
She does? No, really?
She sings. Yeah, she sings.
There's a music video. Just go look it up.
Yeah.
That feels illegal.
But
You can't
back
have
to
all of that.
Hesper. Back to Hesper, though. I think it didn't affect me as much because I loved Hesper's delivery, which was just stone cold most of the time. Like, it was just the most nonchalant
Well, it just was.
of
which was
deliveries,
great.
which I loved.
But how do you respond to that? Like, how do you respond to that? Well, you don't. You just ignore it, obviously.
Yeah, well, and that's why I wanted Hesper to be a foil to Clara in that Hesper's just all there. There's nothing
Yeah.
necessarily that anyone has to do about it. She's just saying what she feels in the moment that she feels it, and then, whatever. If
Which
Clara
is
had said that out
terrifying.
loud, it would have been like, this has fundamentally changed my life that I just admitted this to you. For Hesper, it's just another thing that she says.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
to meet someone like that when you're someone who, like, you can't even tell your best friend some feelings, and then to have someone just very honestly say stuff.
Like unironically, just like legit.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
the-
that's
and
why
the
I love
John?
Hesper so much. Yeah. And
So great.
they were a great compliment to each other, for sure.
Sorry, I just had to get that out. I've been like yelling at everyone that has read this book. Like, how did you feel about that line?
The soundbite you posted was just that conversation.
Listen. It needed its own moment. Okay. Jesus.
I'm glad it hit. I'm glad it hit you because again, I don't plan. I'm sitting down to write, and when that moment came up, it's nothing is more embarrassing to me than making my own self blush while I'm writing. I feel like I'm like this is I should not be laughing or being like I have to take a second. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for me to
No,
do.
you should have
No.
seen me trying to read
Listen.
the first line out loud into the microphone. I had to do it like multiple times after she left just so that she wouldn't be in the room when I said it. Like I was like,
That line, though, the one about she may have ridden a dragon, but she's never ridden me, that got me, like, the
was
smell
good.
one got her. That
Yeah.
one made me stop for a minute. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Claire finding her confidence.
love it.
It's good.
was
It's
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We love you. We love your work. We can't wait to see more. Everything's fantastic. And you brought us joy. So thank you for that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you both.